Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode to our crash course on cancel culture. This episode is gonna be a little different because we're gonna be discussing the history of this practice. So sit tight as we go back in time. With social media's prevalence today, committing immoral acts could reach and affect a larger population than ever before because of our ability to digitally connect with numerous people around the world. By committing one goofy act, you could be an overnight sensation, albeit in a bad way. Because with how judgy many netizens are, it could take a million right decisions to establish yourself as this, likable person in this community and commit only one wrong move to ruin it all. Cancel culture, an example of a wicked online practice, is done to publicly shame others under the guise of calling people out in front of a huge online audience. According to Vogel's et al. 2021, though several individuals claim that this is a call to accountability, canceling a person detrimentally affects their reputation in society as well as their sanity. Not only is this a form of punishment, but it also encourages a counterproductive and outwardly harsh means of resolving conflicts, particularly in the absence of a legal system and instead acting as a vigilante mob. In fact, it is a modern depiction of two undesirable events that happened in the past: ostracism and boycott. To avoid committing the same mistakes, it is essential that we learn from our experiences. However, with cancel culture's existence, it appears that we haven't learned from them. Hence, it is essential to identify those events and understand them further. In ancient Athens, ostracism was a political practice where individuals who threatened the state's stability would get ousted from the location without setting charges against them, according to Britannica. At midwinter, a fixed meeting would take place wherein citizens are entitled to vote another citizen that they want ostracized or banished from the ancient district of East Central Greece, Attica. They would write the name of the person, and when a sufficiently large number of people wrote the same name, then that individual would need to leave the district within 10 days and stay away for a whopping 10 years. With all these in consideration, however, they still own their property. Like ostracism, cancel culture involves a large number of people ousting others, figuratively or even literally speaking, as they identify them as a menace to society. Similarly, there also wouldn't be charges set against them. But even worse, the cancelled individuals or institutions could be banished for an indefinite period of time. And if they were able to somehow claw their way back, their reputation would never be the same. Thus, they likely wouldn't receive the support that they once had. This time, however, they wouldn't be unnecessarily or extremely humiliated by others anymore. Lastly, like the ostracized individuals still having the right of ownership to their properties, the victims of cancel culture would likely still possess their assets that they could go back to and use to their advantage once their quote-unquote exile is over.
Additionally, cancelling can be regarded as a modern-day boycott. During the Irish land agitation of the 1880s, Charles Stewart Parnell popularized the term boycott to protest against exorbitant rents and land evictions. This can be traced back to black culture, including black empowerment movements dating as far back as the civil rights boycott of the 1950s and 60s. In fact, being cancelled is not a novel concept in black culture. It is a survival skill that dates back to the usage of boycotts by Southern blacks. During the civil rights movement in the United States, boycotting quickly became a social and political weapon. Stores and businesses that discriminated against black people were boycotted, hoping that declining sales would compel them to reform their policies. The masses also employed this tactic to voice dissatisfaction with the company's policies. For example, in the late 20th century, American consumers boycotted Nike Incorporated products due to the company's suspected use of child labor in other nations. Hence, this particular demeaning act is reflected in how cancel culture works today, which is harassing individuals through the internet to silence them into shame. Ultimately, The act of boycotting is out and developed into a new pervasive notion known as cancel culture. Needless to say, cancel culture has risen to prominence alongside hashtag-oriented social justice movements like hashtag Black Lives Matter, a tumultuous but influential social wave directed at demanding accountability from social systems that have consistently failed marginalized people and communities. We look back on history and think that public shaming and torture is wrong, and yet we're somehow doing it again in a different platform. This should not be the case. We should not let history repeat itself.